2D delves, solo and co-op fantasy skirmish adventures. It's time to play out our first battle. This is, of course, the campaign sheet, and we have determined that our heroes are going to go searching through the ruins of the castle of Hanuman. They want to find the spirit of the joyous chorus so they can lay it to rest. That means we are doing a search, find, and get the heck out of Dodge. And if we find any loot along the way, we can use that to boost our score. Well, here it is, the lost ruined castle of King Hanuman. We are going to play this using inches, which feels a little weird for 15mm figures, but the game is scaled for using inches, whether you're using 15 or 28mm. Rather than doubling the size of the table, we're just going to we're going to dance with the one that brung us, so to speak. Now, as we mentioned last time, we are going to have three heroes. We've got our elven wizard, our dwarf shooty boy, and our barbarian fighter. They are going to be going up against a dire wolf and three wolves. Starting on the third turn, we'll roll a d6, and there's a chance that additional creatures come on the board. On a result of a 1, it'll be a dire wolf. On a 2 or a 3, we'll bring on another regular wolf. And I think on a 4, 5, or 6, we don't have any reinforcements. Now, the blue chips are areas that might contain the objective of our search. We're looking to lay to rest the joyous chorus. And to do that, we have to perform a little, I don't know, a seance, or an exorcism, if you will. So we have 5 areas that have to be searched. And I got to tell you, the action economy in this game is a little fuzzy for me. As with most games, you can move up to your movement stat, which will be 7 inches, 4 inches, and 3 inches. These guys move 8. You can charge an additional 3 inches. You don't have to end your charge in melee. So I think that means we're going to handle this the same way most games do. We're going to handle that as if you charge, you can't do anything else. But if you just do a move, then you have another action, which may be something as simple as bashing down a door. Notice that the ruined castle has 3 heavy oak doors, one here, here, and here, that remain in place. You move into contact, and you can use your free action to smash them down. You need to get a 7 or better. They are fairly old and rusted. If you don't charge, you can search these areas, but you have to declare what you're searching for. If you're searching for the joyful chorus, you roll a d6, and on a 6, we pull that chip off, and you found it, and you get the magic item, which we'll roll for after the game. And then we have to get off the bridge there. And I should point out, these rocks here, these mark the top of a very steep slope. This is the former moat. You can move through that area, but on a result of a 7 or less, you're going to be pushed to the back and have to spend the entire next turn moving back up to the rocks, directly from where you failed that search. Well, I guess we'll say, I don't know, we'll figure that out. But this is one of the highlights of this game, that it is very much in the style of a role-playing game where you can kind of come up with fun environmental effects like that. Going back to the objective markers, if we don't want to search for the joyful chorus, you can search for loot. And that is I think it's an 8-up. I'll have to double check. I think it's an 8-up intelligence or perception check. On an 8-up, you find a loot counter, which you can drag. That figure can drag around. And if you get it off the table, you get an extra quest point. Now, we will get 1 quest point just for playing. We'll get a quest point if one of our boys survives. And if we can find the magic item, get it off the table, we'll get an extra quest point. Plus, like I said, for everyone, and there's just 1 loot on each one of these. So there's an option, there's a possibility of getting up to 8 loot, 8 quest points, I should say. 5 loot, 8 quest points, and getting off the table. And then I think there's some other rewards, but we'll talk about that later. I'm eager to get started. Before we do, there's one last roll we got to make. Did I say 1? I meant several. We have to roll for weird events. This adds unpredictable elements. We'll roll the d66. Black die is the tens place. We get a 64, and checking our book, the 64 is going to be hidden treasure. After setup on round 1, select a random character, make a 7-up perception check. On a success, they notice a hidden treasure located at the end of their first move. It requires a special action to retrieve, takes up 1 gear slot, additional 2 quest points. Booyah, we like that. Now, the other dice roll that we have to make is model placement. This is for the enemies. Our heroes are going to start off, see, they made a little camp. They got over into the ruins, didn't realize they were being stalked by wolves. So we have to roll on this little table a total of 4 times. Ooh, Biscotti's very excited. So I'm going to roll once for the big guy and then 3 dice for everyone else and then so you can see how far apart they are. It's listed right there. So for the dire wolf, On a 6, they have to start on the opposite board edge. And for the other 3 wolves, their stats are all the same. It doesn't matter. One of them is going to start at 6 inches. One will start at 12 inches. And another one will start with a dire wolf. Now, that is very important because the first 2 rounds, it's nighttime. There is the campfire gives us a 6-inch circle of light. You should be standing up. This wonderful little 3D print statue is standing up. So if we're within 6 inches of the campfire, then we don't have any bane. In other words, roll 3d6 every time you try to do anything. Drop the lowest when you have bane. You can spend a fate point to ignore that. Boy, really wouldn't have done us any good on that die roll, would it? The point being, on turn 3, we start the turn by rolling for reinforcements, and then we will... The daylight rises and we don't have to worry about the lighting source anymore. Everybody has 2 torches, but since it's just 2 turns, I'm going to hold off. I think I'm just going to stay close to the campfire for those first 2 turns, and hopefully we can deal with these wolves. They are coming at us in waves, so I think that's going to help us out. Get things from the dire wolf's perspective. The situation looks a little something like this. The statue is about 6 inches away, so we will be able to move up to the edge of the firelight, but of course that's not going to help our shooty boy. And I guess one of the things I'll do, actually, since these are wolves, they come from every direction, I'm going to roll a d6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll be the direction we put this guy. So from a 5, we're actually going to spin him around over here, and wolves, remember, move very quickly. The next order of business is going to be initiative. And for this first turn, I want to show you how that works. These are 10 initiative markers marked 1 through 10. I'm going to choose one at random, and I'm going to apply it elf, dwarf, human. And then we'll just work our way across the table like this. So the elf is going to go 6th, the dwarf is going to go 2nd, the barbarian 5th. Now there are ways that you can slow this down. See, that's a 9. You can tell from the little pip at the bottom. Number 10, and then this will be for the dire wolf, number 1, and then this will be number 7. So the dire wolf is going to act first. We can get rid of the rest of these 3, and just to show I'm being honest, 3, 4, and 8 are not going to be used on this turn. The dwarf can hold his fire if he so chooses and try to go before somebody else, but this poor little guy is going to go last of all. The dire wolf goes first, and because he has an 8-inch move and a 4-inch charge, he's going to be able to move 12 inches to here. That's number 1, and I'll pull off the initiative marker to demonstrate that he has already taken his activation. The dwarf gets to go next, and this dire wolf is measuring from the firelight. He is 7 inches away. The rules are a little vague. Because the dire wolf is in the shadowy darkness, he is in the open. What we're going to do is we're going to open fire with Bane on this roll. So the dwarf opts to go ahead and take his shot. He has to roll 3 dice, and we'll drop the lowest. No, we'll drop the highest. The 5 goes away. That becomes a result of a 6 plus 1. Because of his dexterity, that is a 7. And the dire wolf has a primary toughness number of 7. That means this will be a hit, but it is a hit for a bonus of 0 damage. As you can see, the crossbow does plus 3 damage, so that will do 3 points of damage to this dire wolf. We will mark damage with a d20 for this guy. When the red die hits 15, the dire wolf is eliminated. Our barbarian goes next. He's going to move about 6 inches over to here, staying in the light, foregoing the charge onto this wolf, trying to get to within 3 inches. I'm not going to pre-measure that, so let's bring him around just over like this. I'm eyeballing it. This is part of the fun, part of the mystery of being a solo wargamer, is just don't pre-measure it. The rules say you can pre-measure, but we're not going to do that here because it makes this a little bit more exciting for everyone. Now, in this case, our spellcaster sees shadows out here, and here I'm going to go by the letter of the rules. Because he is within the light, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move him back this way just a little bit more, and he's going to cast Arcane Bolt. Now, he's not going to suffer Bane because he's not fumbling around in the darkness for his spells, but what we will do is give him a difficulty increase of 1 on this spell. Arcane Bolt will do 4 points of damage, which is pretty good, but he uses his intelligence, which is at bonus, which is at plus 2, Priests would use their charisma. So normally this would be an 8 or better. As you can see down here, Arcane Blast, you need an 8 or better to be successful. It does 4 damage. Normally he would need a 6 or better, but because he's firing into the darkness, he's going to need to roll a 7 or better. He does not have Bane, and if he rolls Snake Eyes, then that's bad. So with a 6, he's going to miss, and because he missed, that increases the difficulty on that spell for the rest of the game by 1 every time he misses. Our heroes have now all gone, and it's time for this wolf who is furthest away to rush up 12 inches. He will wind up here. That is initiative number 7. And then number 9 is going to leap on, and we got to check. Is he within 3 inches? Because he's within 3 inches and he's moving through rough ground, the wolves do have to worry about that. He is not going to be able to charge. Now, the way you do attacks the other way when the bad guys are going, this is just a regular wolf. He's got a strength of 7, and his primary toughness is 6. So because he's attacking, this basically becomes a saving throw for our boy. He is still in the light, so the barbarian, old Barker there, is going to roll. And we're trying to get a... Well, wait a minute. If his strength is 7... Strength doesn't matter. We will defend using our dexterity, which in the case of Barker is at a +1. And we're trying to beat his strength of 7, meaning I'm going to roll 2d6, and I'm looking to get a 6 or better. So with a 9, I've succeeded. Barker did not take any damage. The last wolf to go is going to be moving towards the nearest opponent, and he is only 10 inches away. He will get the charge bonus of +1. He will get the gang up bonus for +2. That means that our boy is going to be, Barker is going to be at a total of -1. So what would ordinarily be a trying to make a save of 7 is going to be trying to make a save of 8. And with an 8, he is successful, so he has avoided any damage, and that is the end of this first turn. All of the bad guys are in the camera, as you can see. So we have another turn where we don't dare move any of our figures further than 6 inches, and we're hoping for some good initiative markers. I've shuffled up the counters. I'm going to go elf, dwarf, human. So 4, 3, 7. Oh, it's not looking good for him. And then the dire wolf will get a 6. And these 3 wolves are going to go 9, 5, and 8. So that's not too bad, actually. We're going to get to do some shooting. We'll probably try to gang up, and maybe we should try to wipe this guy out. But man, that dire wolf is scary. He's still got 12 hit points left. We're going to take 2 shots at the leader, the dire wolf. Of course, the dwarf goes first. He has Bane. We remove the highest die roll, and that result of a 9 means that we hit. Remember, he's got a and I got to rerun the numbers because I can't even remember. He's going to have a dexterity of 7. We got a 9 altogether. It's +1 for the dex. Is it +1 for his dex? Yes, and -1 for the... Oh, no, we don't have to worry about that. It's +1 for the dex. He got a 10 versus a 7, meaning we're going to do a total of 6 points of damage. 3 for the... 3 for the crossbow, and 3 for the extra successes there. So he's up to 9. Then our wizard is going to go. He does not suffer from Bane, but he is at -1. It's actually a total of +1 altogether. We need to score really high here if we want to take this guy out on the run. And a 7 is not going to do it. That's an 8. Oh, that is actually a successful hit. That's going to do 4 more points of damage. That puts the dire wolf at 13 hits. Now, this is where morale comes in. I don't think we've talked about this at all. The game does include rules for morale. People aren't just going to stand around until they get obliterated. Most of your foes, when a battle starts to go against them, will cut and run. Anytime you've taken 50% of your foe's total tiers out of action, that's a little vague again. Are we talking about the total tiers that have appeared? The total that are on the table at any one time? You can figure it out based on the scenario. If you're battling a single large creature, Make the check when they've lost 50% or more of their health. Well, I think what that really means is we're not going to be able to take advantage of the morale because we're not fighting a single big creature. I think this successful hit means that the direwolf still gets to go because he is at 13 points of damage. He's further than 3 inches away. He's going to charge one of these guys, and we'll figure out who is the closest. The elf is at 6. The dwarf is at about 5.5. That means the dwarf is going to get jumped, and there will be a +1 for the charge bonus. The dire wolf has a strength of 8. That's the save that we're trying to roll against. Gimpy has a +1 dexterity, meaning we need a 7 or better to succeed on this check. With an 11, we succeed with flying colors and don't take any damage. Then it's going to be, oh, you know what? He wasn't next. This wolf was next. This wolf is going to be attacking at a total of +1. So we make our dex check is going to be an even dex check. And with a result of a 6, failing by 1 means we take 1 point of damage. This regular wolf has bite +2, so that's 3 damage. And then because the target is outnumbered, it's going to be a total of 4. But there's one more modifier. Barker is wearing light armor, so he's only going to take 3 damage. That's going to put him at 8 remaining. So there's number 5. And now Barker gets to counterattack. He is going to be at -1 because he is still outnumbered. And it doesn't really matter which of these wolves he attacks. So let's just roll and see what happens here. He is still in the light, so we get a 5, which is going to be a miss. And that's going to be it for him. Then the wolf that is attacking him is going to get to roll. Again, we got to make our same saving throw. We get a 7 for a 6, which, so we're at 7. This negates his dexterity. We've hit for 0, which means it's going to be 3 points of damage -1. That's only 2 this time. So that's 5 points to Barker. And that wolf is gone. And then we have 1 wolf left, and that wolf is going to attack our dwarf, who is now suffering from an additional -1. This is a straight roll versus a 7. He gets a 5, so he takes 2 points of damage because he missed by 2. He takes 2 points of damage for the bite, and then he takes another point of damage because he is outnumbered for a total of 5. But Gimpy is wearing heavy armor. That reduces that by 3. He's only going to take 3 points of damage, taking him down to 12, and that is the end of turn number 2. So the light now dawns, and we no longer suffer Bane anywhere on the table. We now have to mix up our markers, just kind of flip around a little bit more so that you can see I'm trying to be honest here when it comes to who's got what. Oh, that was it sitting at 13. I gotta be a little more careful there, don't I? And since this is next to the wolf, let's do the wolves first this time. And then this wolf is going to go first. Then that wolf, our dwarf, is going to go on 3. Our hero on 6, and our wizard on 2. I'll take it. That's not so bad. Our wizard is going to take advantage of that, but first we have to do this attack for this dwarf over here. I'm sorry, this wolf over here is attacking Barker. And Barker rolls a big 9. Even with the extra attacks, he wards off the first wolf. Then on number 2, our elf says, you know, I can move 7 inches. And I ignore difficult terrain. So we're going to allow him to scamper on down and get up into this pond. And he's used all 7 of his movements. He's going to use his free move to check and see, is there any loot? Now, he's not looking for the chorus. He's just checking for loot. With a 5, he's going to fail. So that's going to end his turn. That's number 2. Number 3 is the dwarf, who is now really up against it. He is in melee. He's using his strength. He's using his sword, which is only +1 damage. That means in order to whack the dire wolf, he's going to have to roll pretty good here. 11 will absolutely do it. The dire wolf has a dexterity of 7. That's going to do 4 points of damage just for the differential, plus the 1. And that's going to put the first 2 tiers of bad guys out. It's also going to save him from getting attacked by the dire wolf. Number 6 goes next, and it's time for Barker to see if he can do some good on this turn. He is fighting. He's a big, tough guy. He gets an 8. He only needed... Well, wait a minute. That's not true. He didn't get an 8 because he has a strength +2. He gets a 10. He is attacking a wolf that has a dexterity of... Apparently, it's only 6. That means he's going to do 4 points of damage. Plus, he has the big two-handed sword. That is 7 points of damage. He's going to kill this... Well, wait a minute. He's going to attack this dire wolf because that dire wolf isn't going to get to go. And now that we've done 3 tiers worth of damage, the wolves that are left are going to have to make a morale check. At the beginning of the next combat round, our dwarf has to make his save, and with a total of 7 versus a strength of 7, no wait, our dwarf has a dexterity of +1. He succeeds by 1, and he is completely unimpressed by those wolves. So now at the start of this next... Oh, wait a minute. At the start of round 4, find out if there's any wandering monsters. On a result of a 6, no new foe arrives. Now we check for morale, and if you've lost, so we've lost 3 of the 6. Did I miss a wolf somewhere? Oh, no, it was only 5 to start. So we lost 3 of our 5. On a 4-up, that creature routes. So we'll check this one with the white die and that wolf with the black die. Looking for a 4 or better. This one is going to rout. This one is going to stick around and fight for another turn. You know, I don't think I mentioned one of the most impressive parts about this game. It actually has an index. So if I can't remember what routed means, I can just go to page 45. This is a lost art in our hobby. A little embarrassing, to be honest with you, but not for 2D delves. A routed model must flee using the most direct route possible. Routing AI models will flee off the table edge opposite the party's deployment. They don't make attacks, cast spells, and can't grant a gang-up bonus in melee. So this guy is going to run off, and when you break melee, you are subject to a free attack from your opponents. Still opposed. All melee opponents get a free attack. If it suffers from health loss, it can still get away as long as it didn't lose its last health point. We just have 5 markers to lay down. I'm going to pull them out of the middle of the deck at random, and we'll go wolf, wolf, barbarian, dwarf, and elf. So the elf is going to go last, and we'll probably still be searching with him. And as I mentioned before, so the barbarian's going to go first. He's going to take a stab at that wolf. And with a result of a 4, he's going to miss tremendously. Then this wolf is going to attempt to run away 12 inches. I'm kind of thinking we're going to exercise the option since we have number 7. Why don't we let him run away? I don't think we need to. We could take a whack at him, but he's just running off the table. And what that does is it frees up our dwarf to come racing over here, charging on in with the gang up bonus. He's going to be at a total of +1 for the charge, +1 for the gang up bonus. He's going to make a strength check at +2. All he needs to get is the standard dexterity toughness number for these guys is 6. So all he needs is a 4. He rolls a 9. He's going to do 5 points of damage plus the 1 for his sword. That's not quite going to be enough to eliminate this wolf. The wolf is going to get an attack, and the wolf is going to attack on a 1, 2, 3. Well, actually, we already know he attacks whoever is most wounded. So he's going to attack Barker. Barker makes his attempted save. With a 9, he is successful. And the last order of business for the turn is our elf over here, feeling good, mostly an empty table. He says, I want to make another perception check. And with a result of a 7? No, he's got no bonus on perception. Also, you need a 9 or better to pass that make with the good stuff, baby check. Moving on, we have our deck of many initiatives. I'll cut that in a second. But first, let's find out on a 6, no wandering monsters. I'll finish cutting this. And the elf is off there searching on his own on an initiative of 4. Barker will be acting on a 3. Gimpy on a 10. And on a 2 for the wolf. So the wolf gets to go first. Unfortunately for our heroes, it will again attack the most wounded hero, which is Barker. And without the without the gang up bonus, there's no, just the standard dex check of an 11 is going to be successful. So the wolf, oh, I guess I probably should have checked for the morale for that wolf. I'm not sure if you check every turn or just on the turn where the condition applies. So we'll just say you only check on the turn where the condition applies. I think that works pretty well. Now Barker gets to go, and Barker gets to make his attack roll with a big, he only needs to do 1 point of damage. That's going to eliminate the last of the enemies. Now, this is where things get interesting. The elf is still shuffling through the water, looking to roll a 9. He still hasn't found anything. Our dwarf is going to move up here, and he has got a, does he have a high perception? Maybe he's the one that should be checking. Yeah, his perception is +2. He only needs a 7, so he's going to look for loot as well. And with a 9, he's going to find one. Now, that is picked clean. There is no joyous chorus here, unfortunately. All of the enemies have been eliminated. Maybe I should have thrown in those extra couple of wolves, but there's always a chance that they come back. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to play out turn by turn, but I'm going to check first to see if we have any reinforcements. We'll roll where we can see, and we get a 4, so no reinforcements on this turn. Initiative doesn't really matter, does it? So I'm just going to bring, we're within 6 inches. So I'm going to make the first check for the Celestial Chorus. On a 6, it's in the fountain. And is that our 6? So we've found it. He's got the Celestial Chorus, or the Joyous Chorus, I should say. That ends his turn. Our dwarf is going to go, 3 inches to get out of there, and then he's only got another, I don't think he could have made it on that last turn. I forgot. With the heavy armor, he only moves 4 inches, plus an extra 3 inches for his, so we'll call that 3, 4, and then he can run an extra 3 if he doesn't do any search actions. And because we've found the Joyous Chorus, I am going to go ahead and, I should have brought him over to search for loot. I think what we'll do is we'll continue, we'll just keep searching there until another bad guy shows up. A 7 is a failure, and that ends the turn. Do we have another reinforcement? On a 2, we do. A wolf will appear, and we have to go back to trying to figure out, well, not trying to figure out, we have to figure out what our initiative order is and whether that wolf goes first, or whether our boys go first. So here's our initiative counters, and we'll cut them semi-randomly, and then the other way you can do this is just kind of put them out like that without even looking at them, and then turn them all over at the same time. So this one, of course, is the wolf. On an 8, 10, 5, and 4, the elf, he's going to get to go first. Now, it is daylight, so if we have a line of sight, we could take a shot at the wolf. And here he is on the board. It looks like I just, I put him down before I checked for initiative. It looks like we got line of sight. So the elf is going to he's going to cast his spell, and then he does get to move after that. So we're just going to get off the board at this point. We'll take the win, we'll take the magic item, and we'll get out of here. But first we roll for Arcane Blast. We get a total of 8, plus the 2 is 10. Now, Arcane Blast does 4 points of damage. Because we beat it, the target number is 6, remember. Oh, no, wait, it's actually, the target number is 8. So we get 2 points for that, plus 4 points. That's going to do 6 points of damage to the wolf. That may mean the difference between survival and not for our guys. The elf has now gone. Our dwarf is going to... he hasn't completed his move yet, though. The elf is going to be able to move 6 inches to here, and then 1 more inch to try to get out of the way. The dwarf also has a line of sight and plenty of range, so he'll take a shot, and all he needs to do is succeed, and with an 8 he will, and he's going to take out the wolf as well. So that's another wolf taken out, and he can still move his trundle, his little, and this time we're going to remember, his bandy little legs are going to move 4 inches to there. And our big guy is going to race 10 inches to here. We'll get him back into their camp, and we'll just call that. I think we've gone far enough. So we got 1 loot, which gives us a quest point, and we got the magic item, and we got the thing. So we got like 4 or 5. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it quits right now. We had a good time with our miniature war game, and then in the next episode when we come back, we will go through the post-battle sequence and set up another scenario. But I think this kind of gives you an idea for how, yes, Biscotti. Biscotti is very excited about this. As I was saying, I think this gives you a really good feel for how smoothly the tabletop battles themselves play out and how quickly you can adjust from rolling for your active figures making attacks versus your now active figures defending against active attacks against them. Very smooth. The initiative system works much better than I expected. It's a lot of fun. We didn't even have any fun with our magical ability to swap these initiative markers. We didn't really need it this time. Next time we'll probably bump up the difficulty whatever our opponent is. Instead of just going with the 1 boss and 3, maybe we'll start off with 1 boss and 4. Of course, the darkness hurt. So a lot of stuff going on here. Very interesting. I hope you'll tune in about a week for the next episode in our delve into 2D delves. Until next time, I'm praying for you.